Hello, friends, and welcome to Rise Up in Real Estate, where we are on a quest. We are looking for the extra in the ordinary. And I'm Tad Fulford, and I will be your host on this journey where we will take an honest look at what makes ordinary people extraordinary. Exactly how can we be extra in our personal and our professional lives? In this season of the Rise Up in Real Estate adventure, there will be a monthly rhythm, meaning each month we will have 4 unique episodes. In one episode, we'll tackle a pressing current real estate industry thought. In another, we will chat with a local difference maker in the real estate space. For our 3rd episode, we will host a respected national thought leader. And finally, we will have a 4th bonus and surprise episode. And in each episode, we will be digging into not only what those people think, but who those people are. Along the way, it's my hope that you'll laugh some, you'll be challenged some, you will get inspired some, and if we are lucky, maybe even figure out a way or two you can rise up in your own life and be the best human that you can be. So the challenge is, let's all rise up. Hello, Rise Up Nation. We are here for another episode of Rise Up in Real Estate, and this is a good one for me, and I know I say that. You guys tell me I say that every single week, but this is a good one for me because I usually know my guests really, really well. There's been a couple times where I've had a guest that I wanted to get to know really, really well, and I just did it through the podcast. So that's the example of what I'm doing today. I'm very excited to have my guest. Actually, my wife, Mandy, recommended that I invite Kasey on the podcast because she really likes Kasey, and I want to introduce you to Kasey Herrington. Kasey, correct me if I say anything wrong. I often do. So, Kasey, I'm excited to have you on the podcast today.
Well, thank you, Tad. I'm very excited to be here too, and the feeling for Mandy is mutual. I love your wife, so happy to be here.
Oh, good. That's awesome. She is very selective with the people. She loves a lot of people, but she doesn't talk about it very much. So when she mentioned that about you, I said, you know what, we gotta get her on here. And we don't often go outside the real estate space. So this is awesome because one thing that I've been attracted to with you is watching as I've gotten to know you and watched you on social media and talked to people that know you. Your progression in your career has been impressive. And I don't want to dive right into that, but I do want to get to that. First, your accent is cool, and I want you to tell me where you were born. That's what I want to know first.
So I'm born and raised in Conway, South Carolina. I've never left. So I'm from here.
That is awesome. So did you go to Conway High School?
I did for 9th grade, and then I was part of the group that was the first graduating class of Carolina Forest High School. So I was zoned to go there, went over there, and then went to the academy.
Well, very cool, very cool. And then what did you do for after high school? Did you go to college?
I did. So I went to Coastal and finished in 2005 with a BS in health promotion. Had a great run there, and
Awesome.
Then waited 15 years and went back to Coastal again and went for my master's and wrapped that up in 21.
You have such a distinct accent. I didn't know it was Conway. Normally, because I'm in real estate, I can nail accents pretty good. Like when people are from Long Island, I can tell right away. New Jersey, Boston, all these. Even when I just talked to them on the phone, but yours I wouldn't have guessed because it's almost like you have something about your voice. It's a rich rolling of your tongue or something. I'll identify it as we get into hear you talk more. You're a Chanticleer.
Yes.
So go Chants.
Yes.
Are you a Chanticleer that goes to sporting events? Like you go to the games and follow all that stuff or what?
No, I'm not really into sports. So my husband is. We went to the inaugural game, and gosh, I don't know how many years ago that was when they first got a football team, and haven't been to a game since. But now that our girls are getting older, we're interested in going again.
That's awesome. So tell me about your family. Like you just told me you graduated college, you waited 15 years, went back and got your master's. Did you grow your family in the meantime or what? Where did you meet your husband and tell me about your family?
Yeah, I would love to. So I met my husband when I was in undergrad at El Patio, the Mexican restaurant in Conway, of all places. He was also in college. And that was about 20 years ago. And we've been married for 16. And we have 2 daughters. Arlo is 10 and Ramsey's 8. And they're kind of the light of our life.
That's awesome. And Ramsey is friends with my daughter, Hadley. So, and she has glasses, right?
Yeah, she does. She
Yeah,
does.
she is so
Yeah.
cute. We just talk about her. She's so adorable. And I know that your kids go to Myrtle Beach Christian Academy. Is that
Mhm,
correct?
they do. Yes, they do. We love
Or,
it there.
yeah,
Mhm.
that's been a fun place for our kids to go to school too. So you met what does your husband do? I don't know that. What does he do for a job?
So he works in land development. He works for Wakefield Development. Prior to that, he was in civil engineering for 16 years, and he made a change about 2 years ago. It was a client of theirs, and now he's kind of learning a new side of the business.
Yeah, that's neat. So he works for Wakefield, and his name is
Rob?
Rob. Okay, cool. And the reason I ask these crazy questions, my editor asks me this sometimes. My goal is to find connection points. So
Yeah.
maybe Rob, somebody will listen and know Rob is now with Wakefield Development, and that will lead to business or conversation or something. So that's awesome. Thank you for being willing to share that. And you graduated, and then there was 15 years. What happened in those 15 years? Why did you decide to go back to get a master's? What were you doing for career? I'm interested in your career growth. Like, how did you go from where you were to where you are now?
Yeah, sure. So I started part-time at the front desk at a urology clinic in Conway when I was a freshman in college. And so I would work at the front desk. We had paper charts back then and just kind of grew up with that company. I helped in the back and really did anything that was needed. And then when I graduated, just before that, I did an internship with the administrator there and really grew to love it. Let me back up. So when I was younger, I wanted to be a nurse, and I
Okay.
learned by going to the Academy for Art, Science, and Technology that I was a fainter. I knew that I fainted at the sight of blood, but I didn't know that it was going to hold me back from my dreams. And so through that experience, my teacher told me that maybe I should consider administration. So I went down that path instead. I'm glad that I did because I still get to work in healthcare and serve our patients just in a different way. So worked in urology, grew up with that company. They turned into a large group through a merger of several practices in 2007. And so I stayed with the company as a director of administrative services. And then we started a family, and I stayed in that role for a long time. And then I decided to get into running, and I did a couple of half marathons in 2019. And that experience was so empowering. I was just like, wow, I can't believe I just did that. Maybe I
Yeah.
could finally go back to school and accomplish that goal that I've had forever because I was always interested in going back for my master's, but really just wasn't, I was afraid, to be honest, to take the plunge. And I think that experience with those half marathons puts me over the edge. And so I went back in 20, right before COVID, January, and finished it in 18 months. And then became chief operating officer at Atlantic Urology Clinics. And then most recently, about a month and a half ago, this opportunity became available with Ortho SC, and I moved over here in the same role, and I love it.
So your title right now at Ortho SC is
Chief operating officer.
okay, COO. So that means you do a lot of things that you and I can't talk about because you're very smart. So I'll just use COO. I'll stick with that. That's interesting that running, like we don't have that in common. Running but maybe I should do it because maybe it'll help me accomplish. That's pretty cool how it gave you confidence once you conquered that objective. And you weren't a runner before. You just decided, hey, let's start running. And then it led to a half marathon. How long did that take from first jog to half marathon?
About less than a year. I want to say about
Wow.
9 months. Yeah. So I would do little 5Ks, and I had a group I was running with, and we would do 3 miles each morning. And then I did a training plan and had a coach, and she helped me get up to speed. And I think the training plan was 10 weeks.
And did you really have, like before that, did you really have questions about whether you could get your like you certainly didn't think you were not qualified to get your master's. You just didn't know if you had it in you to be disciplined as a mom and a businesswoman to accomplish it or what?
That's it. Yes. I just didn't know if I had the time or really the wherewithal to go through with it. It's such a big commitment. And I think I was just afraid of the time commitment.
Right. Because it's not like, I mean, you had little kids, right? And so,
Yeah. So yeah, they were small. Hmm.
and isn't it baffling to you how much our kids do? Like
Yes.
I mean, it just blows my mind that like right now we got two at dance, one at soccer. I mean, there's something all the time. I could not imagine cramming a master's in the middle of all that and cooking dinner and cleaning the house and taking care of a husband and a husband taking care of you. I just have so much respect. And that's probably the reason I wanted you on here is because maybe there's moms out there that are thinking, I'd love to do that, but you didn't want to live with the regret of not doing it. So you just went ahead and did it.
Yeah, just dove in head first. And, there were times along the way, a lot of tears, a lot of late nights. But Rob and I really partnered to pull that off. So he would help wherever I couldn't fill in. He kind of picked up the slack and filled in the gaps. And we made it happen. I often joke that I feel like it's our degree because there's no way I could have done it alone. At least it certainly would not have been as enjoyable.
Yeah, well, what a good thing for Rob that he was that supportive and because it does take a village when you have kids and a household, and it's not like you were working at nights as a server. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, but you had a career also where they had expectations of you and you had a job description and responsibilities. Did you do your degree at night? I mean, is that?
Yes. I think that was a big misconception that I had personally. When I took it on, I thought, oh, well, I can get to the office early and then give it an hour at lunch and stay a little late and just knock out my assignments. But I was never able to compartmentalize. So it was totally a pull on my personal time. So I mostly did it at night and on the weekend.
Yeah. Wow. That is, that's a big thing. I have to ask this, and this is off script, but you have a water bottle on screen. My guests won't see it. The listeners won't see it. But what is it? You got some stickers on there. Tell me about, usually stickers mean something. What do all those stickers say? The ones that you feel comfortable sharing.
Yeah, of course. So this is kind of an extension of me. I take it everywhere I go. So on
awesome.
The front, it has Burn, which is the gym that I belong to, Burn Boot Camp that I love. Over here is a sticker that is symbolic of my brother, Jason. He passed away this past June, and he loved to surf. So it has like the waves, and then this was his signature move, the little flex. And it has a quote that he had put on LinkedIn right before he passed, and it's, how big would you dream if you knew you couldn't fail? And so I actually gave a copy of this sticker to every person on our team when I started this new job. So it's really special. And then the other one was a gift from a friend, and it's just a piece of scripture from Proverbs, and says, she is clothed with strength and dignity and laughs without fear of the future.
I love that. Kasey, I'm so happy that I asked you about that, because that, like you said, now you got to put it where it was, because I want to see it. I got to be able to see it the whole time we talk. That sums up who you are, really. How cool is that? Yeah. That might be the reason I have you on here today. I always wonder what the reason is I have people on, but you just did. Like, I wonder if I could get a sticker. Is that being presumptuous that I could get one of your brother's stickers?
You absolutely can. I will send you one.
I love that. I love that saying. I don't know anything, and I'll be honest with my guests. I don't know anything about your brother or what happened, and I don't expect us to talk about it, but that it means something to you. Like, I have stickers on the back of my computer because I'm in Starbucks a bunch. And it's like a conversation starter for me with people. And I love that each one of those things says something about you. I also want you to tell me a little bit about your gym, what that means to you. And I want to also, if you don't mind, putting a link to your gym. We'll put that in the show notes. If your gym is open to the public, maybe somebody could find you that way. But tell me about your gym.
Yeah, I would love to. So I go to Burn Boot Camp. It's a women-centric gym. It's high intensity interval training, kind of circuit training, and it's open to anyone, all lifestyles, all sizes, all shapes, ages. And it's just a very empowering community of women that support each other. 45 minutes, and I love to go and get it over with early in the morning. So I do the 4:45 a.m. class. And yeah, it's a special place. It really is. You bond and meet friends that otherwise I don't think I would ever meet. Right. And I love about it.
And you go early. Now, when you leave to go to the gym, do your girls stay asleep? You hope before you get home. Okay. I just imagine if I left that early in the morning, I would be so afraid that when I got home, things would be, coming apart at the seams. Right. So I have a lot of respect for you having the courage to do that. And if they're all asleep when you get back home, that's amazing.
They're usually awake by the time I get home. Rob and I take turns. So I go a few mornings and he goes a few mornings. He does a different thing. He does F3, but we take turns. So we kind of have it down to a science now.
Oh, yeah. Which F3 does he do?
The one in Conway at the Peanut Warehouse. I think it's called the Nut House is the name of the chapter.
Yeah. What's his tag name? Do you know?
Site work.
Site work. Okay, that's awesome. All those guys they begged me to come, and I'm scared to run, and I'm scared to go to that F3 and all those things, but they all have little cute nicknames, and I'm like, they're so funny. My big landscape guy does it. He's got a nickname. I think he's Weed Eater, and then there's one called Brown Bag, which is very, very descriptive. But there's a lot of fun. Sade, do you know Frank Harita? Do you know Frank and Tiffany Harita?
I've heard his name for sure.
Yeah, so he's like the coolest guy you'll ever meet. He was a model, and he comes out of a magazine, and his nickname is Sade for Smooth Operator. So it's so funny, F3. And then your faith is also important to you because you have it on you have Proverbs on your water bottle. Tell me about that and how it affects some people, like your daily routine. Does it have an impact on that?
Yeah, I think it does. I think whenever you have centered faith, it just kind of guides how you behave and the way that you interact with other people, and just have a natural sense of compassion and grace for other people. So yeah, I definitely feel that, and of course, far from perfect, but it usually brings me back to the center if I get off base.
Yeah, that's cool. And if you have it on your water bottle and it's sitting on your desk, I mean, people probably aren't going to go in there and go crazy on you or anything like that, right? I mean,
it was a gift from a friend, but I love it because it's special.
I love that. I love that. And that water, Kasey, let's be honest, that water bottle is almost as big as you are.
Yeah, it is. It's like 40 ounces. I try to drink 3 times a day.
That's a lot. Oh my goodness. Well, we got to wrap this up so you can go to the bathroom in a few minutes. Anyway, so what's next for you with your career? You're happy, I'm sure, in your new role. Did you feel like this was a step, it wasn't a lateral move really for you, or were you just looking for a new place to do what you were doing, or what? What's next for you in this?
Yeah, so this is a tremendous growth opportunity because OrthoSC is a much larger practice than the one that I was in before. It's a new specialty, so I don't have need to know how to treat the patients, but it's a challenge to learn the lingo in itself and all of that. And just, totally different dynamics. And I am very happy here and excited to see what the future holds.
And are you still running?
I am not. So after that second half marathon, I got injured, and that kind of put me on the bench, just overuse. And I think, going 0 to hero in 10 months. So I have not, but I'm interested in doing it again when our kids are older, and kind of right now I'm into burn, and that's it.
Yeah, that's enough. Listen, you listen to all the things you do. My goodness, you've got just to have an 8 and a 10-year-old daughter. I can't even. We'll be there pretty soon, but it's a lot.
It is. It takes a village. And, I want to give credit to our moms. We have tremendous support from both of our moms, and we lean on them a lot. They help us shuttle the kids from one place to another, and we certainly don't do it alone.
Isn't it amazing when you meet someone that doesn't have that support?
Oh,
and then you do. I mean, we have it too, and we couldn't do it without it. Sometimes I get I'll complain about it in a way, sometimes it cramps our style, and maybe they want to be involved more. But then I think, am I crazy? Because I have friends that don't have any support. Literally, they don't go on a date night unless there's a gym night, or they have fun night at the gym, or the aquarium lets the kids spend the night or whatever, and then they go on a date night. But for us, we have it made. I love that. It takes a village, because it really does. And our experience at Christian Academy has been very positive. I'm sure yours has.
Yeah. So, our kids Arlo, the oldest one, she was in public school for the first 2 years, and then COVID happened, and that's what led us to Christian Academy. And we initially thought, okay, well, we'll do it for 1 year just because our schedules did not allow for the in and out. But we love it so much. They're going to graduate from there. Yeah.
I think I might have met you the first day you ever went to Christian Academy.
At open house. I remember meeting y'all in the classroom. Yes.
Yeah, I remember that. And we were so excited, but we were so nervous. I didn't realize you had I guess you said Arlo is older, right? Older than Ramsey?
Older, yes.
And then Ramsey was in Hadley's class, and Hadley so I guess, did Ramsey start kindergarten there?
He did, yes.
Yeah, so it was overwhelming. So Ramsey, I can't believe I've been saying she this whole time. But so they started together, and I remember seeing you that first night, and you were clearly a mom that works. You were dressed like you'd just been straight from work. And I said, and isn't it ironic that 3 years later we're on this podcast talking about your your career.
It is. It's so neat how things come full circle. It is.
Yeah. If you live or own property along the coast of South Carolina, you probably need insurance. We Insure Advocates is a locally owned independent agency with industry-leading service support. Our team of customer-centric agents can explain your coverage options and help you craft an insurance program that fits your needs and budget. Data-driven for better value, people-led for better service. That's the difference of we. For all of your property insurance needs, please find us at weinsureadvocates.com or call us at 843-491-6990. Yeah. And do you tell me about your real estate experience? Have you bought houses in this area? Do you live in a house that you bought?
Yeah, we do. Our real estate experience, I would describe as very limited. So when we were younger, we bought a piece of property, and flipped it. We thought, oh, we're going to try this because everyone on TV does it. So we did that. And then we have the house that we live in now. We've lived there since 2008, and another house very close to ours, about 4 miles down the road.
Oh, cool. So you have
limited.
Well, 2008, if you bought a house in 2008, that was like us. I mean, that was a crazy time in the real estate market. Who knew? Yes. Wow, who knew? So yeah,
for sure.
Oh yeah. You're not. I don't even want to talk about that. I'll have to get my therapist on the line if we go down to talk about that experience in 2007, 2008. Well, tell me. I like to ask everybody these questions. You've been very forthright with all your information. I appreciate you being open to our listeners, but I like to find out what do you think is your superpower? Like, I love that you're a professional woman, and yet you are very committed to health, very committed to your faith, committed to your family. It's just a lot. I watch my wife do it, and it's a lot to juggle. Mm-hmm. I mean, I have the utmost respect. I was raised by a strong woman, so I'm drawn to that, and I appreciate that about you. What would you say? I know this will be awkward for you because you don't love talking about yourself, but what is your superpower? Like, if Kasey's got to do something, what are you best at?
So I actually asked a couple people this, asked a couple friends and my husband, and there was a common thread with the word compassion. So I do think that I'm a compassionate person, but I also think determined. So I'm not easily knocked down. I might get down, but I usually crawl right back up. So determined. Those
are two good ones. When you talk about determined, what's a time can you think of a time that you were knocked down but you're not staying down? I mean, I guess the half marathons would be one example. Masters would be one, but what's a personal example where you just didn't quit?
Yeah, so I think probably that was last year. I had some stuff going on with my health and had no idea that my thyroid was really out of whack and thought that it was a whole cascade of stuff. And I just kind of stayed the course and ended up going to this holistic doctor down in Murrells Inlet and getting to the root of it. And yeah, I think that really could have set me back, and I had every reason in the world to make excuses. But I didn't want to take that no for an answer. It's like, what is going on? There has to be some root cause.
And you just kept asking the question.
Yeah, I did. I just tried to stay persistent to figure out what was going on, because I've never felt that way. And you don't just all of a sudden wake up feeling the way that I was feeling, which was just not myself.
Right. And you have to advocate for yourself, don't you? I mean, if COVID didn't teach us one thing, and you're in the medical profession to some degree, if you don't advocate for yourself, nobody else will. It's just the world, the medical profession is so busy, and it's so prescribed. And I'm not talking about really prescriptions. I'm just saying that they listen to your symptoms and give you, this is what it is. And sometimes they listen, sometimes they don't. So you said a holistic doctor. Do you mind sharing the name of that person?
Yeah, so I go to Carolina Holistic Medicine, and the doctor there is Dr. Salibi, and they have a couple of nurse practitioners that I usually see.
Yeah, I think Mandy actually mentioned Dr. Salibi to me not too long ago, so that's funny that you would mention that. We live in Murrells Inlet, and when you get my age, you have to pay attention to certain things. I guess you should always, because you're so young, and if you'd have had that experience last year, But I'm glad to hear you say his name, because I might give it a try and go see, because holistic medicine as a whole is a new thing. I mean, COVID brought a lot of that to the forefront. And compassion, I can see that. Like I can see you. Your friends probably think you're like a true friend, don't they? Are you close to a lot of people, or close to a few people?
Closest to a few people, but I do have a lot of I'm a social butterfly, so I do have a lot of acquaintances and friends that I love to spend time with, but closest to just a few people, including my friends from high school.
Wow.
We've maintained our relationships, and I'm grateful for that.
That's neat. Mandy was born in she was born in Socastee, so she is one of someone told me there's only 8 of you alive still. There's 8 unicorns that were born in this area, and they're still in this area, true natives. It makes me want to ask you: Did you watch Outer Banks on Netflix? You haven't seen it on Netflix. Do you watch Netflix at all?
Rarely. We don't do a whole lot of TV. I do social media, but don't watch a lot of TV. I like intervention and stuff like that if I do watch.
Yeah, well, good for you. I won't introduce you. I don't want to take you off of the track that you're already on, but that show is very much like the people who grew up in coastal South Carolina. It was filmed in Charleston, and it's a story about the 2 groups of kids, one with and one without financial stuff, and how they interact with each other. And it's crazy stories, but it was pretty interesting. I thought you might have watched it. So a determined, compassionate person. I like that. Tell me if you have and this is a fun one to ask for someone not in our field, outside of real estate. What's a book that you could recommend that is a good one for people that has meant something to you?
Yeah, so I love leadership books. I'm kind of a leadership junkie. I love to listen to those on Audible and read those. And I really kind of developed that when I was studying for the master's, because prior to that, I did not enjoy reading. Right. But my favorite, and I've read several since this one, is Humbitious.
Okay.
So it talks about the power of low ego and high drive leadership. So how you can be humble and effective and ambitious all at the same time. And this word that's kind of a made up word, Humbitious. And it's a great read. It's by Amir Kasey.
Okay.
So yeah, I would recommend that one.
Did you read that, or did you listen to it on Audible?
I listened to it on Audible, but here's my system. If it's really, really good, I order it because I want to have it so I can touch it and read it again.
Yeah. So Mandy is one of those that has to read it. Like, she's tactile. So she's going to want to flip through the pages. And so it's opposite. I don't do that. You would think with I'm being a little bit older than her, I would be the reader and she would be the Audible person, but I always have something going in my car. So I'll add that to my list. We just talked about that at our leadership meeting this morning. I was telling some new agents that are getting started in the business that it's interesting. I said, you can be humble and still be a leader. You can be generous and still be a leader, because so oftentimes, especially in our profession, maybe all of them, it seems like people think they have to have an ego. They have to push people around to lead, and you don't. I mean, probably my best example is Jesus, and we won't get way down that path, but how many people followed him, and he was extremely humble. He was the ultimate servant. Right.
Absolutely.
So I love that. I want to add that when I email you afterwards, I'll ask you for a few things, but I want to put that link in the show notes. That's a great one. Every time we do this podcast, it's some corny real estate book. So I would love that you went off the beaten path. Do you have a secondary leadership book you love that you can share with us, or something you've listened to?
I do. So I actually just read one. I had to go to a conference and I read it on the plane. It was called To Be the Best by Any Measure.
Okay.
So I can send you the link to that one too. It was really good. It talked about a servant leader who had worked in industries that typically would rule with an iron fist, and he took a different approach and was very successful. It gave a lot of real life examples. It was good.
Yeah, I love that. That's excellent. And you could probably give me 10 more. But those are 2 great ones. I hope that my listeners will pick those up. And we need more humble people, more compassionate people, more people like you. So that's really cool. So last question, and I kind of know what your answer is going to be because you talked about it a little bit earlier, and I can't believe we've already been 30 minutes together. It goes by so fast, probably because I talk a lot. What is it? The name of this podcast I picked is Rise Up in Real Estate. And the reason I picked that was because I I'm interested to find out what people do to rise above the mediocrity in today's world. Like, what is it that sets you apart, puts you in a position of leadership? You're like my friend Martine. Do you know Martine and Shaw Williams?
I don't.
They're at Christian Academy. He's actually the board of, I think he's the president of the board of directors there. But Martine has a podcast, an excellent one, and it's called Mompreneurs Remixed. And I love the term mompreneur. Like she supports. She was big in Forever 31, and so she talks about what it is to be a mompreneur. And I think you're that kind of person. But what is it that you do on a daily basis that helps you rise up, that gets your mind right, some people say they don't do anything. They just wake up that way. What about for you?
Do always try to find the positive. I think the one thing that sets my day in motion is to get up early and exercise. It really just puts your mindset, you've accomplished a goal already. You've gotten up really early. You followed through and did it. So yeah, I would say that, to get up and do those 4:45 a.m. workouts.
That's awesome.
I'm also really big on do what you say you will do. It was an acronym that was in a book that I read in Masters. And I have this little bracelet that I wear with the acronym for do what you say you will do. And I think if we do that each day too, it means a lot. And when we fall short, just admit it. That there goes that humility where you just come out and say, I intended to do that, but I dropped the ball, and here's why.
Yeah. So what's the acronym for do it? Is it just the first letter?
It is. So it's DWYSYWD.
Okay, so it's the first letter of each of the words. I love that. And people ask you about that bracelet?
Sometimes, yeah. I think sometimes they're not really sure because it's so many letters. But yeah, they do on occasion.
But it's mainly a reminder for you.
It is.
And I love that. You have kids too, and my daughters will make me bracelets sometimes, which is really fantastic. I'm sitting at their craft table right now filming this, and here's one. Here's one of the bracelets that they made right here. You can barely see it.
Yeah,
but every once in a while, they'll put letters in it too. And sometimes it spells bad stuff. Sometimes it spells acronyms. Sometimes it's by accident. They try to spell their name. But I've seen the WWJD bracelets before. What would Jesus do? But I like that. Do what you say you're going to do. The world needs more people like that. And I think the world needs more Kasey Herringtons. I think it's been fun talking to you. And I want to ask you this off the record, kind of, because you're not in real estate specifically, right? You're not in our field. What is your take on the real estate market right now? There is no right or wrong answer. I just wonder what the public thinks. I'm in it every day, thinking about it every day, reading about it every day. But what do you think about it? Is it good, bad, medium, terrible? What is it?
I don't feel fearful about it. Being even as removed as I am, I wouldn't say that I feel fearful. I do wonder if it's going to kind of decompress at all with the price and things like that. It seems to have done so. And curious about interest rates. But I think the general sense that I have is that it's going to be fine. I don't think it's going to be another 2008. I mean, who am I to say? But I don't think it's going to be that at all. I think it's still very promising.
Well, maybe you'll buy another house if it is. I mean, you bought your last one in 2008. So crazy as that sounds. Well, thank you so much, Kasey, for taking the time to talk to us at Rise Up in Real Estate. And I will get with you soon and get you get the information that we can put in the show notes and share all the information with you so you can share it with your sphere of influence. But thank you for being open.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. I really enjoyed this.
Oh, you know what? I forgot to ask you. Tell me how people can find you if they want to. Like, spell your name and then share where you are on social or email, whatever you're comfortable sharing. I forgot to ask you that.
Yeah, sure. So probably the best way is LinkedIn. I'm pretty active on LinkedIn. And my name is spelled Kasey, and my last name is Herrington.
That's excellent. Mandy, I'm embarrassed, but Mandy told me last night, she said, you need to look her up on LinkedIn. And I didn't. Shame on me. I would have probably learned something if I would have done that. But thank you so much, Kasey. I will be in touch, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.
I hope you do too. Thanks, Tad.
Well, hey, that's a wrap, folks. Thank you so much for listening to Rise Up in Real Estate. If you liked hanging out with us today, please find us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at Rise Up in Real Estate. Also, follow us right now on your favorite podcast host to hear more episodes. We really appreciate you spending some of your time with us. And until next time, let's do each other a favor and all help each other rise up.